guys, Kitty here, and I have this week's retro recap ready for you. And this week we're starting off with Star Trek The Next Generation, the 6th issue mini-series, number 1. Now, we have a theme for this week. This is our week of first. Not necessarily the first issue. There are a couple, but it's first special something or other. So this one here, this is the first comic that I remember ever picking up and reading off the rack at the grocery store. So that's why this one holds a special place in my heart. But what drew me to it was the cover. I mean, it's got the Enterprise D on the cover. I'd never really picked up a comic book before then. And I was in first grade, so trying to read it was a little difficult, but I read some of it because I remember reading it, but I didn't read the whole thing because, you know, a first grader trying to read a comic in a grocery store with a parent that's not having a good time with a younger sibling doesn't work well. So, real quick on my review of this one here, this is a weird book, okay? Think season 1 TNG, but weird. Nobody acts like they do in the show. Even Picard, like everybody's just kind of off. It's one of those things that I'm glad I've got it, and I'll probably read the whole 6-issue miniseries, but it's weird. Okay, so next on the list is Wonder Woman number 42. This is Gail Simone's run, and this is special because it is the first Wonder Woman book I ever bought. When I bought it, I read it. It confused me, and after rereading it for this review here, I remembered why I didn't like it, because it was very confusing. So this is not a good jumping on point for anyone who wants to read Wonder Woman. It's part 1 of 3 of Contagion. The story's not bad. It's just if you don't have knowledge, like prior knowledge of what's happened before this issue, or you don't know who some of these characters are, you're a little lost. So I knew nothing about Green Lanterns, and there's a whole bunch of Green Lantern stuff that goes on in this. And I noticed in this one, there's little like notations in boxes for older comics with like little asterisks that give you information about a previous issue. They don't do that in this. They don't do that in any new books. So when she makes a reference to something, or somebody else makes a reference to something that happened previously, I'm going, well, when and where did that happen? So editors, be kind to your readers, especially new readers. This is a newer book, and so I guess it was just assumed that I should have knowledge of prior events. But I don't know. Overall, the story was fine. It's just, like I said, just a little jarring and confusing. I also did not like the way Steve Trevor looked. That's just, I don't know. He doesn't look like Steve Trevor to me. So that, I was not too keen on that one. But so first 2 books, even though TNG was special to me because it's first comic book, it's still kind of weird as far as Star Trek goes. I still like the Wonder Woman book. It's just kind of jarring, but I think if I read the previous issues, it wouldn't be as bad. Now, on to the books that have come from the store. You can find this book here at the store. The significance of this is the first DC issue of The Shadow. If you want to read a comic that sounds like a radio show from way back, this is the one to get. This was a fantastic read. It had a little puzzle in there at the somewhere close to the beginning. It's on a little note here, and it has a notation down here that says, have you cracked the code? If not, see the page entitled The Shadow Knows following this adventure. So there is a code written in there, and I sat there for hours trying to figure it out. I didn't figure it out, but it was still fun. Went back to reading the comic, finished it. It's a really, really entertaining story. Even being dated, it's still entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and it is the first DC issue of The Shadow. So you can purchase that book here at the store. All right, last book, and I know some of y'all are probably going, man, that's 3 DC books. Is there anything other than DC that's a significant first? Yes. The Amazing Spider-Man 350. Jeff said that this was the first the first Amazing Spider-Man comic book that he remembers owning. So you can purchase a copy of this plus practically any other Amazing Spider-Man or Spider-Man related book here at the store. This one, the story's fun. It's got Dr. Doom in it. It's got, I think his name is the Black Fox. I'm not sure. Can't remember. He's a thief. Doom is mad at him because he stole a family heirloom of his. And then there's a whole nother set of bad guys in here too. You're kind of overwhelmed with some various bad guys, but there's one particular panel, the speech bubble, it tickled me, and I posted a picture of it on my Instagram. So if you follow me on other social media, you've already seen it. But Spider-Man is dodging bullets right here. He goes, "Yike! Bullets flying thicker than lies at a political rally." Oh boy, that was hilarious. I about fell out of my chair when I read that. It was great. It is also dated. Even though it's 1991, it's still kind of dated because Mary Jane makes a comment that is a little off-putting. And I don't have anything against Mary Jane. I never did. I liked her definitely better than Gwen Stacy. But I'm trying to find it now. Peter has gotten a concussion from his fight with Doom, and rightfully so. And MJ's worried about Peter going out as Spider-Man, and she tells him, you know, hey, look, I don't think you should do this. They kind of have a little back and forth about it. And she says, you know, there's a lot of, I don't understand, but, you know, I just accept it because I love you type of thing. She goes, but Peter, don't ask me to understand suicide. Now, I get what she means. You know, don't ask me to understand why you're being suicidal, but it's still the type of, you know, quote, make sure the air quotes are in there, suicidal. He's not like literally trying to get himself killed. He's doing the, you know, with great power comes great responsibility thing. But for her to be kind of not understanding about it, but also to make the statement she did, kind of bothered me a little bit. And even for this being a 90s book, that's still kind of harsh. So make sure if, you know, you buy a book like this, keep in mind it was a different time. They say things that are not going to be said in today's comics, not typically anyway. So that's all the books I read this week for my retro recap. And looking over all 4 of them, there is a very clear, easy favorite out of all of them. And it is The Shadow, #1. As much as I love Trek, this is probably down there toward the bottom of my list this week. It would be Shadow, Amazing Spider-Man, Star Trek, and then Wonder Woman. So, and only because of how confusing the Wonder Woman story was. But all in all, I still enjoyed reading the books because it's comics. Who doesn't enjoy reading good comics? Well, that's it for this week. I will catch you all next week with the new retro recap. Live long and prosper, and glory for the Empire. Kapla!